outside actually. Google have and operate outside of the USA. Don't bother to look it up on Google Maps because they've purposely left it off it.
Tagad mēs brauksim Omiņu pie Avivas stadiona, tas ir lielākais stadions. Cik tur ir mašīna vietas iekšā?
Nezinu.
Mums taču nav pietiek. Mēs brauksim garām, teikšu gaļāk, pateiksim. Tagad braucam vēl pa mazām ieliņām līdz tam. Skatamies. Nu, reko, Romi, beidzot mēs sagaidījām. Mēs ilgi gaidījām, tagad mēs sagaidījām. Ūdenī iebrauksim iekšā. Kaut kāds reku vestas dos. Mēs varam peldēt nāk. Tas būs ilgi, vai ne, Māša? Viss tūlītās sapakos ar vestēm. Labi, ir sapakosimies, pēc tam atkal nofilmējamies. Jā. Nu, rekur, tagad Omiņ. Tagad, rekur, esam sapucējušies jau. Uzpusušies. Uzlēt savu vikingu capaļu. Jā! Un tagad laižam iekšā jurcītē.
Krāni jurcītē.
Labi, ka mums te balons tagad balons.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're very welcome on board. This is your captain speaking. And as your captain, legally entitled to marry people. So if anybody wants to get married to each other, just come up, have 20 euro each in your hand.
I offer you a one gold.
I might introduce divorce next week. It'll be 50 each, I think. Guys, just over to the right hand side here are the lock gates which link the River Liffey to the basin here. The River Liffey is about 40 feet below us out there. And a little over 200 years ago, and again last weekend, the big tall ships, the big sails would have sailed up the River Liffey into the lock gates, tied off at the dock wall and offloaded their cargoes. Then the horse-drawn barges would have come along. The cargo would be reloaded onto the barges. The horses would pull the barges up through the canal, up through the basin, out onto the canal, and then they deliver the goods around the country via the canal. The basin here itself is 25 acres in size, 7.1 metres or 22 feet deep the whole way around, no matter where you are in it. And the basin was dug out 220 odd years ago by hand, pick and shovel. They did not have machines to do this, so it would have been a hard old job. Also, the floor of this basin is tiled just like a swimming pool would be. If you just want to take a look at that, I can pull the plug out and we can drop down and have a look if you like. A bit nervous about that earlier. I'll tell you what we'll do instead. We'll take this thing to top speed. So hold on to the back of the seat in front of you. Give me a countdown. Now it takes a few seconds to kick in. So let's go with the countdown. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Especially behind me, you can see there was a lot of redevelopment over the last 12 or 14 years, new apartment blocks built. It was decided to try and keep some of the old warehouses, the ones over here on the right hand side. By the time they made the decision, this is what was left, but they also found these extremely difficult to knock down because these ones were glued together with Durabond. Facebook, yeah? Facebook's European headquarters is in that glass building on the right hand side there. Take up about 2 kilometres. Guys, it's now claimed that Facebook is responsible for 1 in 4 marriage breakdowns. That's how dangerous that is. for some strange reason, they say the responsibility for the other 3 marriage breakdowns lies with the women. I don't know why. Must be because you were on Facebook and seen a picture of your husband with somebody else.
Mūsu fočējās. Kur te omīt vēl kaut kāds mājas ir, tad tās es bišķi papilnēšu. Tad jāklausās atkal, ko viņš stāstīja, jo es jau pats neko nemāku pastāstīt par šajām ēkām. Pirmīt re, kur viņš tur, nu tagad atkal bišķi jāpaklausās.
Right. The one that looks like it just fell out of a pub. The Bord Gosh Energy Theatre, formerly known as the Grounds Canal Theatre.
Yeah.
This is Dublin's newest and biggest theatre. Opened its doors about 2.5 years ago. Seats about 2,020 people. A fine venue to go to. But guys, when they were building this, they weren't able to find an Irish person clever enough to design a red pole. So they hired a girl from New York to do that, called Martha Schwartz. Now it took her 3 years to come up with this idea. And you have to understand, guys, that this is modern art, okay? She says that those red poles are trees. And the green benches are grass. And the whole thing is a northern forest. She wasn't silly though. She got €8 million off us for putting it there. No wonder we're broke. Guys, some people say this looks really well at night. I can only imagine that's because it's dark and you can't see it. It does light up very well. This little girl's a bit towing. But it's not worth $8 million now.
Puiķis sasprauž iekšā. Man saka, Latvijā ir tādi projekti, kur šitos puiķis ir tos zaļos solītus sasprauž iekšā par 8 miljoniem.
I would have done that job for about 400,000. West coast of Ireland.
This is like a probably
It was then sold to a private owner. It's been sailed up here and it's been docked here ever since. It's now belonged to the surfdock.com. And they teach kids here in the basin how to windsurf, scuba dive, all that sort of thing. And they sell surfboards now. The smaller blue boat tied to the outside, the Ballycotton lifeboat, which is from County Cork, is the oldest boat here in the basin, and it's called the Mary Stanford. That was involved in a famous sea rescue in 1936 called the Daunton Rock Rescue. The boat and its crew went out to sea in extremely bad weather and they were out at sea for 76 hours. They managed to save the entire crew of another vessel, 14 people's lives. Only to shore, one boat was immediately given an award. But it took well over 20 years before the crew that were on it were recognised for what they had done, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it? The other concrete or cement boat is the one nearest us here, guys, the dark blue one. You can see it as they go past, it's patched up with cement. Guys, I'm going to be heading up the ramp. It can get a bit bumpy. Stay seated. Don't remove your life vest onto Laugh Drive Park. Switched off the engine and ran away, okay?
That's like a lady. Nebraucam ārā no ūdens. Wow!
2, 3. Thanks very much.
Tas bija pēdējais kliedziens. Tagad esam jau atbraukuši apakaļ uz to pašu vietu. Un kas tas šeit tur reku? Kas maz te notiek? Lietas līst. Tieši sāk līt liekas. Rekā mēs izbraucām visu tūru un tieši sāk līt lietas. Tagad mēs iesim paslēpties kādā pobiņā. Moši, ka vēl kādu Guinness vienu izdzert. Māsa jau nevajag, māsiņai ir puncīts.